Good afternoon, everyone. Ngozi Talk Shows family is Nomsa here at Ngozi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I've got Carol Ann Cooper and Kamal Ama. How are you guys?
I'm good, thanks. Bouncing back after the other day. Still got a chesty cough that comes and hits me now and again, but so much better.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Awesome. It's good to have Kamal back with us today as well. We appreciate you, Kamal, and I'm sure our audience excited to have you as well. So our topic today is why reflection is so powerful. Carol Ann, you chose this topic. Would you like to explain the topic to our audience, please?
Certainly. I was looking at sort of the power of reflection, and it came up the other day because I found a folder. You can't see it. It comes and goes. And it was a folder that I found in my unit the other weekend when I was clearing out. And I brought it back with me, and I just sat and I was having a look at it the other day. And it was my theory and case studies that I'd written up for when I trained as an educational kinesiologist. And looking back at the questions that I'd answered and actually remembering how long it took me to write it all up. I was happy to do all the case studies, do the practical side of it, but do the written work. It took me, I first started training in 1999 in Brain Gym, and I did all the courses that we needed to do to sort of train as an educational kinesiologist. I mean, I did a whole lot more as well, but it wasn't until this is dated 2007 that I actually got my license, my certification, because it took, I spent that year before that, literally thought I must get this in. This is ridiculous, So looking back at that was a real, wow, look where I've come. But also looking at the balances and the goals that I'd set myself and worked on at that time, I started to see where my life had sort of gone and how that work that I'd done on myself then had impacted my journey. So actually reflecting back, I really felt like I went back in time for a while. I was clearing something and bringing myself back to present. And I also looked at my business plan that I'd written then. And I'm going, oh, really? But I said I was going to do that. I completely lost sight of that because I got on another tack, and this around writing has come up over the years. So it gave me that chance to sit and think, okay, so this was what I wanted to do. This is where I'm at. And I think I need to do more further reflection, because maybe it's an answer to where I've been the last almost a year now, thinking, what am I doing? Why writing? It keeps coming up and I keep questioning this journey. But something that I heard yesterday was sometimes it's important to veer off course so that you could discover something even more wonderful. And that's a message I keep getting in terms of the writing, to keep going with the writing, because there's something for me to have a breakthrough into something beyond, so, I couldn't even dream of. So I think it is really powerful just to be able to sit and reflect and not leave it all these years to do it, something that perhaps we could do more regularly. So I thought, let's have an explore on this topic, because there's maybe something quite powerful here. So what are your thoughts, Kamal?
You're absolutely right, Carol Ann, and especially the part where you said reflecting on our lives and using it more often. I mean, a lot of people talk about journaling, a lot of coaches and psychologists, they talk about about journaling, and journaling isn't only about writing your dreams or writing your thoughts. It's a reflection process. It's a way to analyze your thoughts and which direction are you going. One of the great outcomes is contentment and peace at times. Another thing you mentioned, Caroline, was the it slipped now. It came and it slipped and it came and it slipped.
So if it were to come again, what would come?
It looks like I'm just waiting for it to come back again now.
Yes.
Anyway, it will come back.
Yeah.
And I mean, reflection, some people have none at all. They just go through their day and they live their lives, and they don't seem to care about what has happened, what they want in their future. And so if you want to live, now in my head, I'm going to say a purposeful life. If you want to live a fulfilling life, if you want to live a life that really takes you into your dreams and achieve what you want, reflection is important. Not only just to look at what you've done and blame yourself or try to guilt yourself into doing other things, but to understand the lessons that were there. Reflecting upon the past is not saying that you've done something wrong or feeling the blame and guilt. It's more about, again, what have I learned? How is this moving me forward? The same as you were saying about stopping something or veering off into a different direction. That's what I wanted to talk about. You see that with youngsters. You see it with teenagers that just graduate and they suddenly go into university and they are not sure. They change once, twice, or they even finish their courses and they're not satisfied with what they've done. And so I'm against that whole policy of finishing school and going into university. I say, leave school alone, go and experience the world for a couple of years, travel, do odd jobs, interact with people, do weird stuff, and then come back and make then a little bit of a more reflective choice. Because after those 2 years, a wide range of experiences would have impacted your thought process, would have impacted your behavior, would have impacted your heart and soul. So it's okay to veer off. But veering off, is it veering off your dreams? Is it veering off your own self? Or is it veering off from the conditioning of people and society and your parents?
That's a great question. And that's a great reflective question, isn't it? And this is, I think, where reflection comes in. It's asking yourself questions, isn't it? Like that. Because it's about becoming more aware of yourself. So it's part of the self-awareness process and personal development, personal discovery. And I love what you were saying about maybe not going straight to uni after school, because yes, most times you don't really know what you want to do. And I know I was told, yes, your teachers think you're capable of going to uni. Well, I was quite surprised, because to me, in my head, I wasn't. No, university wasn't for me. I wasn't up for it. And yeah, they said, no, your teachers think you can. And I thought, really? But I thought, for me, I wanted something that actually gave me a job afterwards as well, because that's why a part of the reason I went into teaching, because I thought if I studied and trained to be a teacher, I have a qualification to do something. I don't just come out with a qualification, And so, yeah, and as you say, a lot of children don't really know what they want to do at that age. So going out and exploring the world and then coming back. You're much more mature. You've got more idea possibly of what you want to actually study and where that might take you. Or it might just be, I want to study this because I enjoy this subject. And isn't that the best reason to study, to be honest? It doesn't necessarily need to take you somewhere, that you could have found a way of creating an income along the way, and have sourced that out. So experiencing life, I think certainly there is something to be said for that. And I think the fear is that once they don't go to uni, they'll never go. And so fear drives it, doesn't it? It's like, well, if you don't go now, you never will, and it's the best time for you. Well, again, is fear the best driver to do anything like that? Really? And with the amount that it costs as well. So certainly something to reflect on. And I think maybe that's something that all students could do, is have that reflection on, well, how was your time in education so far? How has it been so far for you? What is it that you want out of life, And maybe there is something just to have a break from the education system, because there are other ways of coming back and studying. And I actually, even when I was at college, there was an opportunity to stay on an extra year to do because my qualification was just for teaching. It was a certificate of education. In those days, it wasn't a degree course. It was something that changed a few years later. And I always thought, well, you don't need a degree to teach, to be honest. It's just common sense and your basics, because I was training to be an infant teacher. But the opportunity arose, and I thought, well, yes, I'd like to, but I didn't actually get accepted to stay on another year. And in a way, I'm glad, because a few years later, I got another job, and I was working with a group of engineers, and I actually had the opportunity to go and get a degree in maths, which wasn't what I would have been doing as a degree at the college afterwards, So, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But because I had my teaching qualification, I was able to go straight into the second year of that course and just do it in 3 years rather than 4. But I got day release from work, which was great. But I enjoyed it, and it was a subject that I enjoyed, and I enjoyed the challenge of it. So yeah, I think it's something to reflect on and look at and ask yourself, what is it that you really want? So, Nomsa, where are you on this?
What is it do I really want? I think I've actually, for me, I think I've passed that, but I agree with you and Kamal. I know what I want to do, and I'm doing exactly what I want. And I think what Kamal and he was saying, that children needs to actually reflect, and if you go to university straight, but there's actually no time to actually reflect, because when you have parents that are control freaks as a child, that is not going to happen for you to reflect, because all they want is for you to finish high school and then go to secondary school and be a lawyer, be a doctor, whatever they have plans for you. So that can be really, really tough for children who are going through that. For me, I was very lucky. I never went through that. My parents were quite flexible to actually, they were there to guide me through things. And I'm doing the same to my children as well. My daughter was talking to me the other day saying she's decided she's going to take a gap year at university to instead of going straight to study a degree, she's going to take a gap year to do acting. She's just going to study and see if she likes it or she doesn't like it, and then she's going to go back and and study her degree, which is, I think, is a good plan, because she loves acting, although long hours and getting up at 4 a.m. is not fun. But that's what she loves to do. So I think self-reflection is a very, very powerful tool. And I agree with you, Carol Ann, as well, what you were saying, that we need to, that was Kamal said, we need to ask the questions. And because questions are very, very important. When you ask yourself questions, you're not blaming yourself about your mistakes or your success. You're just evaluating your life. And at the end of the day, you're also reflecting, it also help you to develop an understanding of your values and beliefs. And when you understand your values and beliefs, then you take a pen and then you write yourself questions. When you write down questions and answering them, it's like a confrontation that you cannot get out of it. Because when the truth is presented to you, you have to actually focus on it and you have to be honest. And once you do that, it will help with growth and development. That's what personal development is about, reflecting on things and not blaming or making yourself wrong. Like Carol Ann always say, never make yourself wrong. I do reflect on things as well and ask questions, but I'm no longer asking the questions what I need to do when it comes to my career or when it comes to, I'm exactly where I need to be. I just reflect for growth, for me to grow, and for the direction, for the path as well, if I'm on the right path, but I'm doing exactly what I need to do. It's also, like, I'll give, like, if there's audience that are watching who are still at school, if you want to really get to know the things that you love to do, you have to start from a very, very young age. And when you start from a very young age, I know some children, they do things and then they quit, they do things, they quit, that becomes a habit. So you have to look at the things when you're growing up. What are the things that you love to do? And from those things, and then start selecting the things that you believe that they actually align with your values and your beliefs, not what your parents want you to do. For me, in this house, I don't control my children. I guide them through. If they want to do gymnastics, I'm there, I pay, I support them. But we have an agreement that if the activities goes on for 2 years, there's no way out. There's no quitting. So if you want to quit, you have to decide before 2 years. Anything that is over 2 years, that becomes something that you're looking forward to. Like, they've been doing music since they were young. They've been doing dancing, acting since they were young. There are things that they did and they didn't like it. They quit. I say, hallelujah, I don't have to pay. I don't force them. So you just have to look at those things and just do the things and have boundaries with your parents, because sometimes children, they get scared of parents. I always tell my children, if you are in a place where you are scared of me, that means I'm an enemy. I'm not your parents. So if I'm your parent, I need to give you that space where you can come and confide in me. So I always leave that room open to my children, that when you go to a place where you are like, I'm scared of my mom, that's not good. That's not a good relationship. Or if you go out and if you are late, I tell them, don't make stories up. Don't do, if you want more time, just pick and be honest. So that is this with the reflection. You can do that as well with the children, even parents that are watching, guide your children through, or even an adult that is watching, find people that can guide you through based on your beliefs and your values, so you can get to where you need to be. That's the best way. And never regret. Whatever you didn't do, never regret. I wish I had done that. There's still time. As long as you are not 100, there's still time for you to go to university. If you are 40 or 50, you can still go to university. And there are some speakers here at Ngozi Talk Shows, coaches, that are an example of that. they are doing things that they love to do, if they feel that they need to develop, they go for it. There's no like I'm 50 or I'm 40 or I'm 30, I can't do this. There's still a chance. So you can go for what you want. Age does not define who you are. Over to you, Carol Ann.
Yeah, I think I'd like to hear what Kamal wants to add on to this. It's
the parents bit of overbearing parents or controlling parents is not always easy. And a lot of children do that come out of that household. They do tend to reflect a bit, not all of them, obviously. The other point is parents, whether you're a parent, a child, a teenager, no matter what age you are, reflection is time for, as Nomsa mentioned, confrontation. It is time to self-assess. It's time to consider. It's time to practice the future. So it's a cycle that you go through, right? You self-assess, you consider your options, you consider what you've done and how it can be improved. You practice it mentally, how you want to have the next interaction or the next event in your life which might be similar to the one that you've experienced. How do you want to go through that experience differently, with a different behavior, with a different attitude, with a different mental state, different emotions, maybe perhaps even managed emotions. And once you've done that, it's time for you to start teaching yourself how you're going to implement those new practices. Like anything else in life, it takes time, it takes practice, and it takes repetition. So once again, do you want to reflect on your life?
do you? No, it takes courage.
It does, definitely.
Because that word you say, confrontation, it is looking at yourself and going, wow, really taking a good hard look and being honest and asking those questions. Well, what happened, what took place, and what was my part in maybe it not going the way I wanted it to, or it actually failing. Doesn't mean I'm a failure. I just failed to achieve what I set out to do. And being able to look at that clearly and say, right, yes, well, what did happen? What was my part in that? What could I do differently? And what can I learn from it? And I think you've mentioned a few of those things, Kamal, about learning from it and saying, well, what could I do differently? So this is the reflective process. And that is more about coming from that executive functioning, thinking part of your brain. You're not coming from the reptilian fight, flight and reactionary part. You're being able to sit, reflect, and just be aware. And as Nomsa says, yes, I always say, don't make it wrong. And let what emotions come up. If there's something there that makes you feel sad and you think, oh gosh, why did I do that? Dive into that. Why did you do that? What took you there? And just allow whatever emotion wants to come up and be present to it. And then let that just work its way through and say, right, okay, so what can I learn from this? Again, we come back to that question. What can I learn from this? It happened. I can't change what happened. What I can change is how I'm feeling about it, what I'm thinking about it, and about myself about it. And once you can change that, you can then start looking forward and say, okay, so how can I move forward from this? And I know that's something I had to do when my house got repossessed. I've reflected on that many times, looked back and done quite a few processes about it, but it's, you know, I could have done things differently, but I didn't. And when I acknowledged I took myself there, I didn't get the clients that I thought I could get. I didn't set up my business. I didn't get the money in that I knew I could potentially get. It didn't happen because there are actions I didn't take. And so just reflecting on that, and then also realizing that maybe I ought to have let go of my house sooner, because my house wasn't actually part of my future. This dream that I'd had, this vision I'd had, and I was worried about, well, where does my house fit into this? It took me a few years to realize it didn't. And so maybe I could have let go of the house sooner. Maybe I hung on to it for too long. Who knows? But I do know that I got a lot of learnings from that. And over the years I had the house, I got lots of different lessons and learnings from it. It was amazing. And so I still get those lessons. And I can now look back and actually realize that at the time the bailiffs came and put me out of my house and took over the possession of the house, I was very present. I used the tools that I had to be present and to ask questions and to watch what was going on, and then to realize that something was going to happen that shouldn't have happened. They were going to put a padlock on my caravan, which I'd been told wasn't part of the repossession order. And so I was able to question that, because I'd sort of stayed in my caravan, and they said, oh, come on, you need to get out now. And I'm thinking, okay, so this is me clinging on to the last minute of being, on what was my property or something. And I said, but I was told this wasn't part of it. And they said, oh no, it's on this list. So I questioned it, and they had to call the head guy back. He was not happy. But I was able to be present and say, yeah, but this is what you said. Is that not correct? So he then went away and had a conversation, came back. But when he first was called back, he was quite angry. And it took me all my presence to be present to him and realize it was his fear that was driving it. There was fear for him about getting the job done correctly. And he was saying, yeah, but you're trespassing. I said, I appreciate that. And I realize, I'm trespassing now and I need to go. And this is what you said. Is that not correct? And they're wanting to, puncture the sides of my caravan to put a padlock on there. And eventually he came back and he said, no, you're right. But you need to get the caravan off. I said, okay, I will deal with that. But looking back, I've been able to look back at that and realize that the training that I'd had, the courses that I'd done, had helped me to be able to have that presence, which in the past I wouldn't have done. I'd have just been a crumbling mess, So, it being able to just reflect and go, okay, I got the bailiff set on my doorstep. I survived. And again, that was that reflection. I've survived. 14 years later, I'm still here, Nothing drastic has gone wrong.
And that's what it created. You see, in that moment of reflection, of presence, you found that confidence in you to state what was correct, what was heard, what was mentioned, right? And that's what reflection creates as well. Not only, we're not talking just about learning from the past and all of that. No, when you reflect on things, you can even reflect on the spot. A lot of people tend to answer straight away, just to give an answer when they're listening, when they're having a conversation. They're not thinking about what is being said. They're thinking, how am I going to respond so that I get the upper hand? When people talk, just let them talk. Be quiet. Take a moment and reflect on what they said. That will help you analyze the situation better and help you respond with a more confident answer. It will help you create, the reflection helps as well with that, a sense of responsibility. Whatever it is that you're reflecting upon, you learn to feel that sense of responsibility towards yourself, that have I understood this situation truly as it was meant to happen? Have I understood the outcome of this event? And we are so ignorant about why things happen to us. We all stipulate, oh, this is happening because of this, this is happening because I did that. We continuously stipulate, and we're only seeing one part of a puzzle. We are in one corner of the puzzle. Yeah. And there's the rest that is yet to be discovered. And we've got no clue. And only when we reach halfway through do we understand, oh my God, that's why that puzzle piece there fits in this spot. So that sense of responsibility of your actions, of yourself, of your strengths, that's what's being built with reflective time. For all purposes, for any job that you have, for teachers, of course, very important, for actors reflecting on their scenes, how they could have done it better, what is missing. In this sense, reflecting as well with artists. I brought in actors, so now I'm thinking of artists. It helps with that creativity, that innovation, that sense of, I'm going to create something different, something that has power, has a powerful message, right? It's not going to simply benefit you. Of course, the major benefits will come to you. But that reflective process, that reflective time that you gift yourself, I'm going to say, is also a gift to your loved ones. Because once you've done your part, they will feel understood. They will feel that their impact has had meaning to you. They would feel part of your learning cycle as well, especially if you share it with them, right? It's a development process. That development process, if you are arrogant enough that when you think that developing yourself will only benefit you, that is the biggest of mistakes one can make. Your self-development doesn't necessarily only help you, it helps everybody around you. You've got no clue what one interaction with one person can do to their life or the life of somebody else. This is a ripple effect. And this is why I encourage people to look into reflection, to look into self-development, to look into how they can improve their lives. Because I don't remember how the saying goes, but you know, you throw a rock into a lake and then it creates those ripple effects, right? And I don't want to be the ripple effect. I want to be that rock that is being thrown. That every single interaction with every single person that I meet has an effect either on them or another person that they will speak to. And this is a major contribution to society, something that we're missing. And the only way you can reach a state where you feel that your interaction has done something with somebody else is by reflecting upon the words you use with yourself, reflecting upon the actions that you take, reflecting upon your behaviors of every day, of interactions, and your thought process. So yeah, I think that's my take on that whole big process. Nomsa?
I love that, Kamau. I love what you said. We need to reflect on our behavior, the words that we use, and Carol Ann always say that the words that we use, they play a big part in our lives. So, and also you mentioned that reflects, it helps with a sense of responsibility towards our lives. And that I think that is very, very important, like what Carol Ann was saying, that she reflected on her past, the house, what she would have done better. And it helps her to, when you reflect and being honest, it helps you to build a better future for yourself. And it has helped her to become the person that she is today, because before she didn't reflect, or she didn't take action sooner. That's what she's saying. But now she's looked back. If she was presented with the same situation now, she will act differently. So I think that is very, very important. And also, when you reflect on things, you live a happier life. And like Kamal also, you said, when we reflect things, the things that we do, they don't just affect us, they affect people around you. I see myself in the language that I speak in the house, everybody is speaking that language. And sometimes I find my daughter, who is 8 years old, she's giving me some advice, personal development advice. I'm like, oh, great. My words are being used against me. So you are right, Kamau. You know, the things that we do, they will reflect in people around us. And that's why it's very, very important to actually see who we're surrounded with, and also look back at our experiences. And when we look at our experiences, we're not looking at finding the fault or blaming ourselves. We just want to grow so we can be better. It's like with myself, with my company, I look back at things, what would I would have done? Like sometimes you'll find that I've subscribed to something that I don't really want. So when I start reflecting on things, what is important to me, what is important to my business, I end up canceling some subscription because I realize that actually these things, I don't really need them. And even the clubs where you join, the clubs that helps you with the network. Not every club, like you have to look at your business. So this is something that I've learned the hard way, that not every network can serve you, you can benefit from it. There are some network where when you join, like for business, you go, everybody just wants to sell you something. But there are networks where you go, when you join them, they add value to your company, where you get to know people, you get to talk about their businesses to other people, and they get to do the same as well. So it's like a friendship. I always say, before you can help me, you have to get to know me. And when somebody comes to me and say, Nomsa, I really want to hang out with you, I want to get to know you. For me, is I need to get to know you and get to know what you do so I can talk about it to my friends. And even when I'm on LinkedIn, if somebody says, I'm looking for this, I'm like, oh yeah, I know Kamau does that. So because I'm reflecting on things, I reflect on my friends. Are these people that are in my life really, are they serving my beliefs and my values, or they are just there to actually drag me down? Because there are different friendships when it comes to life. There are friends that will lift you up. There are friends that will drag you down, and family as well. So all those things, I look at it, and I evaluate my life based on my beliefs, because it is important for my personal growth. I don't go in a place of judgmental or thinking that I'm better than anybody else, but I go in a place of mercy. When you go into a place of mercy and grace, that means you're not coming into a judgmental place. Like when I was talking to you guys about we need to share the videos, and some were debating that they're not going to share the video. And I said, God, you know what these people want, why they are here at Nkosi Talk Shows, and I'm not going to be responsible for taking their glory. whoever wants to share is going to share, but I'm making a statement to myself that I'm not going to talk about this subject no more. So those were the things that I was reflecting, and I was like, I'm not going to do this no more. I'm not going to talk about this no more. When I was talking to, was it Angie or Carol Ann the other day? I can't remember. Yeah, so I was like, this
last
is
Friday.
Yeah, last Friday.
Really...
And I was like, after I was like reflecting to it, and I was like, we all know what we want in life. As Carol Ann and Angie, they are right. We all know what we want in life. The life that we want, it would determine with how far we want to get it. And I was like, I'm not going to be responsible for saying negative things to people. They'll make their own decision moving forward to what they want to achieve when it comes to Ngozi talk shows and the coaching. So I was like, I'm not going to do that no more. And I felt that grace and mercy inside of me that, Nomsa, you're making the right decision, that reflecting on these things. And also, when you reflect, it helps you to connect with your emotions, because we live this busy life. Our lives is all about businesses, work, getting promotion, about children, taking them to their activities. We never really connect properly with our emotion. But when you reflect and asking yourself questions, you are able to connect with your emotions. And when you connect with it, with that power within, you are able to do things right, and also you are able to see your path and your journey and enjoy and live without fulfilling life that has a meaning. And over to you, Carol Ann.
Yeah, you're saying about busy lives, and there was something I read this morning, some research. Francesca Gino says that now more than ever, we seem to be living lives where we're busy and overworked. And our research shows that if we'd take some time out for reflection, we might be better off. So there's actually research that is starting to show that actually taking time out from your busy life to reflect, that you will be better off.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we can keep busy. Something Margaret J. Wheatley, without reflection, we go blindly on our way, creating more unintended consequences and failing to achieve anything useful. I think that's a great thing to sort of reflect on. Do you just keep blindly going on and on, creating consequences? Because there's always consequences of your actions. And do you ever stop and reflect and go, wow, this consequence is because of the actions that I've taken? And what actions could I take differently to get a different consequence, a different outcome? So again, it is that taking time to pause. It is like actually breathing. Are you a shallow sort of person where and this is where you're carrying on, keep going? Or are you someone that actually stops and breathes deeply and takes time to draw that breath in fully into your body and then letting it out? So even just stopping to focus on your breathing for a while. How are you breathing? Because I can bet that very often your breathing is very shallow and very fast, and you're not actually giving your body the health and oxygen that it needs. So again, just stop and reflect. So there's lots of things we can reflect on. And I love what you were saying about reflecting on behavior, Kamal. And certainly it's something as a teacher we do and or can do. And I sometimes wonder if that maybe it could be done more. But certainly at the end of a lesson, there is that reflection. Well, how did that lesson go? What went well? What didn't go so well? How did the students respond? What do I need to put in place next time? Because it's like, what didn't they get? What did they get? And So certainly reflecting is an important part of preparing for the next lesson, because it's as you teach a class and you get to know them, you get to know what their weaknesses are and where you need to fill in the gaps, because you can't go blindly on teaching them the syllabus, the curriculum. Well, you need to know this and you need to know that, when actually there's holes. And unfortunately, this is what happens with maths, because maths is a building process, and one builds on the next. And I would always say to my students, there's nothing new. As long as you've got the foundations here, there's nothing new. You're just using it to build on, but you're using the same concepts. So if there's holes there, then you can't build. And is it any wonder that maths just comes crumbling down around your ears? So again, it's reflect. Where are the gaps? Fill those gaps. Take time to fill the gaps. Because once you've filled the gaps and you've got blocks there, you can build. And you can get stronger and you get quicker with it, because you are then just repeating and going over the basics each time, and they just get stronger. And the more you repeat something, the more the brain goes, I know that. And it's like it's sort of called myelination of the nerve nets. Instead of sort of jumping in jumps to get from where it wants to, all of a sudden it can go from there to there, boom, because you've got it. But it only happens through you taking action, through movement. And eventually the brain goes, oh, I got that. And it is like a twinkling of an eye. It becomes second nature. So again, reflect. So that is an important part of a teacher's role, but I also think it's just as important for a student to reflect. What is their part in the learning process? And I think that's lost. We don't actually have the students be responsible for their own learning, which I think is a key element that's missing. How can they be responsible for their learning? And one of the things is reflecting and saying, well, actually being able to ask for help, ask for support, and say, look, I don't understand this, and request time. But very often a student doesn't understand what they don't understand. It's like, I don't know, don't get it. And they go, don't get any of it. Well, actually, that's not true. Because when I've taken the time to unpick and say, okay, let's work back, I found that it's actually one thing they don't understand. Get that in place, get that understanding there. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, is that all it is? Yes, that's all it is. So listen to the language, but empower students to actually stop and give themselves time to fill those holes and to be responsible for their own learning journey. What do you think, Kamal?
I think that is beautiful and wonderful advice that I hope that whoever's listening can pass it on, because this is a rock thrown into the lake and pass it on. But I love that article that you read, and funny enough, I had a little extract of a book of a psychiatrist that I really respect. It's from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And that extract says, the pessimist resembles a man who observes with fear and sadness that his wall calendar, from which he daily tears a sheet, grows thinner with each passing day. On the other hand, the person who attacks the problems of life actively is like a man who removes each successive leaf from his calendar and files it neatly and carefully away with its predecessors, after first having jotted down a few diary notes on the back. He can reflect with pride and joy on all the richness set down in these notes. on all the life he has already lived to the fullest? What will it matter to him if he notices that he is growing old? Has he any reason to envy the young people whom he sees, or wax nostalgic over his own lost youth? What reasons has he to envy a young person for the possibilities that a younger person has, the future which is in store for him? No, thank you, he will think. Instead of possibilities, I have realities in my past, not only the reality of work done and of love loved, but of sufferings bravely suffered. These sufferings are even the things of which I am most proud of, although these are things which cannot inspire envy. And I think this sums up our whole conversation because it really tells you that we're talking about journaling, somebody jolting down ideas and thoughts, somebody looking into the past to learn, somebody reflecting upon their old age, whether they are envious or not, and realizing that, no, I am not envious because I have experienced to the fullest everything that I've wanted. Even the suffered events that I have suffered, I have suffered them well. Or like my son says, when I burn myself, I say, ow, that's a bad burn. He would say, no, it's a good burn because you did it well.
Oh, bless.
So as you, Nomsa, NLP is sticking into the kids as well.
That's amazing. That's really amazing.
This is what we're talking about. We're talking about reflective process, a process that allows you to grow beyond the scope of your personal imagination, beyond a scope that, and I'm going to use this term, the general population don't dare go through. Because, oh my God, it's painful. And you will get slapped if you really consider these reflective, if you really consider those events and behaviors. And it will hurt. But as I say to my karate students, hurt is good. If your legs or arms are hurting, it means you're doing the workout correct. They consider me a torturer there because I tell them what to do, and then they go like, oh, but it hurts. I said, good, you're doing it right. If it doesn't hurt, no good. And that's the whole point of reflection. It's not that I want you to hurt yourself. It's not that I want you to think of the pain that you've been through. I want you to understand, or we all want you to understand, what did it teach you? Where do you want to go with that? No matter what the situation, there's always an outcome that we don't see. Remember, we see from our own perspective. It's not necessarily the right or wrong perspective. It's just a perspective. So reflect on the perspective that you have and imagine, perhaps, could you be able to reflect on an event through the eyes or perspective of a passerby, of another person, of a loved one? Think.
I love that. That's so powerful, Kamal. Yeah. And you know, when you reflect on your past, present, and future, like what you're saying, Kamal, you have to make sure that you do it with intention and purpose. And purpose is what you teach as well. And this will have a powerful impact in someone's life when you do that, and people around you as well, like your son is correcting you that, you know, Daddy, you bent it. Okay, so yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy the bend. Don't complain. I always bend myself because my arms are so short. So when put my hand in the oven, I sometimes I come out banned and I'm like, ouch. So yeah, we have to enjoy, and also leadership as well. When you reflect, it's very powerful as well, to be able to reflect on your performance and the team's performance as well. And so you can make the right decision moving forward. And also you have to reflect with the grace and be grateful as well, not to reflect and with the goals of blaming yourself. You just have to reflect with the aim of giving yourself gratitude and having the courage to actually do the things that you do, because not everyone else is able to do that. Some people say reflection is a weakness, but it's not. It's a powerful thing that helps us with our mistakes, and it helps us to grow. And Carol Ann, 2:00 now. Do you have any words of encouragement? And also, while you are at it, can you tell the audience who you are and where they can find you, please?
Yes, and yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Carol Ann Cooper, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And you can find me on Instagram, carol.ann.writing.facilitator on Instagram. So
Oh yeah, she has she's been off sick. Carol
sorry.
You did well though. She did well without cough.
It's like it's freeing up.
Yeah.
It's freeing up.
Yeah, you did well because you didn't cough all the way through. Yeah, you did really well.
It's worked well. So it gets to a point. But there is something that's still here that wants to be said, hasn't yet been said. And again, I'm clearing that out. And it is part of my journey of sharing a message that I have for the world. And I'm thinking, do I actually know the message? Because I thought I did, but I'm beginning to wonder, do I? So I just keep sharing what I'm now coming up with. But I do have a Facebook group called Get Your Book Written. So if you want to find that, request to join me there. And just as a last sort of something to leave you with in terms of reflection, there's reflection versus dwelling on something versus living in the future. I always used to live in the future, sort of in my head, like, live there, never in the present. And I think also I've dwelt on the past a lot, especially with this personal development journey. But I'm learning that there is that point of reflection where you reflect on it, you learn from it, and you can move on and plan for the future. So you're still in the present, but I'm now actually starting to dare to dream again and plan for the future. I realized I'd stopped. So actually, one of the reflections I'd like to just leave you with is one goal that I set in August 2000, to be quick thinking and know what to say. Because for me, it's like I couldn't find words. Words were really slow to come. And I never seemed to know what to say. And conversations had moved on. And when I reflect on that goal now and where that has taken me and the people that have shown up in my life from that point, there were some people that showed up that were so quick thinking. I was like, oh, slow down. I can't follow you. My brain literally like this, And I was challenged by one of these people, an NLP trainer. He said to me, well, I'll slow down my talking if you speed up your thinking. I went, okay. So I did some more work on that. And I found that actually I can now listen to people that speak very quickly and follow it because I've worked on myself to do that. And so again, that was that reflection. So people show up in your life out of goals that you set. So again, there's a reflection, you know, or an incident happens. Look back. Well, what have you asked for? What goals have you set for yourself? And so I'm now thinking, okay, I need to perhaps go back and have a look at some of my goals I set all that time ago, because what's got me here? But yeah, so do take that distinction: reflection, dwelling, or living in the future. Which is it you're doing, and which is the most powerful for you to do? So,
Thanks.
Kamal.
Thanks. So I'm Kamal Ema. I'm a life purpose coach. I specialize in living a purposeful life. You can find me on kamalema.com. You can find me on Instagram at kamal.ema. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. And something to leave you with is a quote from Michelangelo. We're talking about some of the greatest people here that we've mentioned today. And this is a quote from him: "The promises of this world are, for the most part, vain phantoms, and to confide in oneself and become something of worth and value is the best and safest course. The only way you can do that is upon reflection." That is my quote at the end.
I love it. I love it.
So take the time, and like Carol Ann said, don't dwell on the past. Remember the funny saying, today is the present is a present because it's a gift. The past is gone, the future is not here. Today is a present and therefore a gift. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Kamal and Carol Ann, and thank you to our audience as well. For me, I leave you with this: success depends on learning from our mistakes, and also reflection is very essential for achieving our goals. We don't reflect to blame ourselves. So remember that we reflect to achieve the things that we want to achieve, and also to make sure that we are on the right path where we need to be. And we are here at Nkosi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And please, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and Facebook, you can like our page and join Nkosi Talk Show group and Unique Billionaire Mindset group, and be part of the family. And also, if you want to get a hold of Kamal and Carol Ann, please do. If you can't get hold of them on their social media, you can go to my website, www.hseia, and call me or email me, and I'll connect you straight away. If you're looking for love, or you're looking to find your own voice lead from within, you are in the right place. With Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency and Nkosi Talk Shows, we have different coaches from all walks of life, and the coaches have created their own breakthrough framework to be where they are today. So if you want to have your own voice and be the leader in your own life, and reflect on things and achieve the things that you want, Nkosi Talk Shows is the right place for you. Live with grace, everyone, and God bless. Have a beautiful weekend. See you on Monday.